Hello, my lovely people. Yes, it's me, it's Voidicus. Welcome to the human realm, actually. I'm not in my void lounge anymore. I'm in the human realm for the time being. But have you ever heard the story of Little Red Riding Hood? The story that all kids ever listened to? But everything you know about that story, throw it to the window, cause this story is about to rock your brain. So let's begin. It all starts in the forest, you know, where everything began. Little Red Riding Hood skips and skips along in the forest in her nice red gown, carrying her nice sweet basket, filling the forest with her fragrance. Oh, the whiff of it was so succulent that even the animals had to come and look, realizing it was Red Hood's food. They turned away because they know they cannot mess with the Red Hood. And so, very Little Red Riding Hood skips along, hippity poppity, along the way. Her earbuds, her Raycons, in her ear blasted music as she hops along her way. But something happened. Something jumped out of the forest, out of the bushes. This man stood on his two hind legs. He was grey. He puffed his nice black leather jacket and pushed back his nice greasy mullet. He looked and saw a little girl in a red hood, looked up and said, hello there, Mr. Wolf. May you excuse me on my path, please? The wolf looked down and said, who the hell are you? I never seen you around these parts, little girl. Now what's in that basket? I smell something heavenly, something sweet. Little Red Riding Hood looks up and said, well, I'm carrying a basket for my grandma, you know. Oh, and in this is just some sweets and such, you know. Oh, and my name is Big Red. They call me Big Red around these parts. They don't call me Little Red Riding Hood anymore. They call me Big Red, if you get my drift. But if you may excuse me, I'm trying to reach my grandma before it gets too late. Bye. So, Red Hood skips by the wolf as the wolf looks on. He looks at Little Red Riding Hood's rear and says, I shall get whatever in that basket. I shall get you, Red Hood, and I might add that granny to the side and turn you into a slave. But Big Red, the only big around here is me, the big bad wolf. They call me Big Bad Greg. And so, Big Bad waltzes his way back into the forest. His Doflamingo walk, his signature move, waltzing away down the forest. He zoops past. As I said, nigga was speedy. As he zips past Riding Hood, he looks around in the forest. Don't see her walk, but he knows this is the path. He sniffs her scent. He sets his traps, a pitfall, a makeshift bear trap, a spike, and also a swinging tree trunk. And so, he sets his traps. He sits and waits. He clasps his hands and he says, I shall get you with this trap, and you shall be my slave, and you shall be called Little Red Riding of the Hood. And so, Little Red comes, swings her basket left and right, skips and hops all around. As she skips, hops, hippity pops along the traps that never activated. And so the wolf was confused, his greasy mullet tugging at the tree branch, also confused. He comes out, steps on the traps, nothing activated. He's wondering, what the hell is going on? He jumps, he breakdances, he even pisses on the traps, but it never activated. He's wondering, what the hell is going on? He walks on the traps, everything never activated. He turned, he looked. He's like, something's coming. I heard a rumbling. It was on the fourth trap he made. out of the 6. He turned and he looked and he saw a crocodile. Leaped out the trap, biting and munching the sticks and leaves he had placed. The crocodile turned and looked, face big bad. As he saw, he ran. He scurried off. His signature Doflamingo move as he ran. The crocodile got up out of the hole and ran, chasing Mr. Wolf as he wiggled his body along the way. But the crocodile wasn't alone. His family of 12 chased him down. But Mr. Wolf sensed something wrong. Something was amiss. Something in the shadows. It zooped past. It was a ninja croc. A crocodile trained in the ninja arts. A shinobi croc. It popped out of nowhere, used its tail, and bitch slapped the wolf across his face. The wolf's face was of utter shock as the pimp slap of the tail smacked him across the face. His pupils shrank, his eyes diluted, his face swollen in pure red as it went into a flashback of when he was a little pup, a little cub, and his father, the big current wolf, the alpha, looked at him. "Daddy, I called myself a little chicken. Are you proud?" The father looked on. "You disgrace of a wolf. You called a chicken when you're supposed to be catching that goddamn red hood. Come here, boy. I'll teach you a very good lesson." The father grabbed the wolf, placed him over his lap, and it was like a whip, smacked the wolf across his ass. The wolf screamed. Oh, the father wolf said, "Yes, feel the pain, as this is the pain you're gonna feel while trying catching that goddamn red hood." Smacks him again. The wolf screams again as his tears fall down. As the flashback finally ends, the wolf came back to his senses. The wolf grabbed the crocodile's tail as the croc was word to slap him again. He grabbed the tail, swung him around like a Beyblade, and launched him back into his family of 12, hitting a strike like he was playing bowling. As they hit a strike, land and look on as the wolf scurried away, they said, "Set up base here in case he returns." So we cut to Little Red hopping along. Under the hood, we could see that she was wearing her Raycon earbuds, so nice, so proud, so very soundproof. The music she was listening to was of utter hatred for her ops. The song goes, "Da da na, bum bum ba na, da da na, da 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 da." As she crept walk and sea walk like Serena as she sea walked on Drake's grave. As she finally reached a section of the forest, she bust her left, she bust her right, she bust her left again, she bust her right and bust her left and then bust her final right. She reached a sign that says, "Grave Corner." As she looked on, she opened her eyes and said, "It's time to sea walk in this part." She go on her high heels and sea walked into the gravesite. Her ops not knowing what the hell was going on. There were graves lined out all around. In the trees, in the ground, all around, there was nothing but tombstones. The ghosts of her previous ops that she had all came out and looked as they couldn't do nothing, because as they shook, they said if they ever intervene, they would never rest in peace. And so, she carried on down and down in the forest as she reached a final part. A part where there was one man sitting in front of the biggest gravestone there is. The gravestone could be seen from the highest trees in the forest. One man sat there, his white feathers, his yellow beak. He wear torn trousers. He wear a nice swaggy t-shirt marked The Chosen. And he had a baseball hat he had over his head. He was El Goose. They call him Heron Goose. White Heron Goose. Little Red looked on as she reached. She crept walk and stopped in her tracks. She looked and saw. Oh, isn't it Heron Goose? What are you doing here? Heron Goose looks up and said, long time no quackity see, Big Red. And so Heron Goose got up, her eyes piercing Little Red. Little Red, Big Red, matter of fact, I'm calling her Big Red, because that's her gang name, Big Red. Big Red looks on into Heron Goose's eyes. The panel cuts showing both of them as both walk closer, reaching the dap-up distance. They opened their hands as they dapped one another. It shook the forest. Even the birds stripped naked due to the dap. The mountain goats finally heard and felt fall damage for the very first time. Even the megalodon, who had been extinct for thousands, millions of years, revived due to the dap. The dap broke reality. The dap was so severe. The dap was so extraordinary. The animals knew. They closed their eyes, looked to the sun as the sun kiss technique pierced them. They knew they couldn't run as the dap was too strong. There was no distance they could have run to escape it. And so they grabbed their popcorns, they headed to the destination of the dapping duel, and they said, if we're gonna die, might as well die while watching a show. And so Heron Goose and Big Red released their dap hands and stepped back, ready for a duel. Heron Goose said, okay, Big Red, time for a rematch. I will not lose this time. Quackity quack. Big Red looked on and said, don't worry, Miss Heron Goose. I will not hold back. And so Big Red upped her basket as she said, dap expansion. Jabber Lotus. And Heron Goose upped his expansion, his eyes now glowing white as he entered the avatar state, seeing his previous ancestors as they gave advice and placed their hands upon his back, and they said, quack, go on, my chosen one, quack, quack, defeat and return the honor that was once lost, quack, quack, as they disperse, lending their power as the ancient Heron Goose did his thing. Dap expansion, Goose of ancestral serenity. The dap expansion has now been expanded. The domain had no domain. It just covered the area. The animals around, the lions, the birds, the tigers. Even the little squirrels watched as they grabbed their popcorns, their nuts, as the domain swallowed them whole. As they entered, there was just only one place, a stadium, where Big Red and Heron Goose sat in the middle. The bystanders, the animals in their stands, cheering on as they eat their popcorns. The words go on and on. On and on. A man jumped down from his stands and he spoke. Good evening, crowd. It is I, your host, your narrator, George, as a song played in the background. Good evening, yes, it's me. My name is George. George of the Jungle. I will be your host and narrator, and in the stands in the narrating booth is my brother, Sir Tarzan. And so, yes, my brother, yes, it is I, Tarzan. And we shall commence this duel, ain't that right, brother George? Why, yes, brother Tar. Let's begin. In the right corner, there's Heron Goose, weighing around 203 pounds, standing at a height of 5'11". And in the left corner, there is Big Red, in her nice red cloak, her Raycon earbuds in ear, playing the Kendrick Lamar. At a height of 5'5", weighing around 150 pounds. Her domain has been expanded. It was a domain clash between the two. Heron Goose said, "Let's get the show on the road, eh, Big Red?" Big Red looks on, shooks her head, as they both began to enter the dap-up distance. The ref George jumped out the way back into the booth, where they knew they had to stay in order to live. As the crowds in the stand closed their eyes, bowed their heads, and says, "There's no way out of this alive. The only way to come out alive is to come out dead." And so, the duel of the daps commenced. Big Red leaped in with her dap in hand, her hands stretched back as far as Bully Maguire. Heron Goose stood still and charged, feeling his inner peace that Master Dap Shifu had told him. Inner peace, as he stretched and meet Red Hood's dap. It shook the domain as the domain cracked and regenerated. The domain was built and regenerating so quick that the dap be echoing through the domain. It was so fierce, so unstable, that even the planets began to shift from their original spot. Mercury was now in the golden zone. Venus was now closer to the sun. Pluto had left its stratosphere and moved in between Saturn and Neptune. The dap was so good and so serenity. They backed up and looked at each other and said, "You're good, Heron Goose." Heron Goose looked on, smiled, and said, "You want to talk, Big Red, as you are as legendary as they say." They reached again. This time they decided not to waste. Full power at hand. They charged up. Heron Goose used his Dragon Ball earrings. The earrings of the 6 Dragon Balls in his ear, clasped them as he transformed, his power surging to that of the domain itself, meeting Big Red's gaze. "Bring it on, Big Red." As he, Heron Goose, puffed his t-shirt, brushed back his hair, taking off his hat and throwing it away. He was ready as he upped his 6 gates, upped his inner peace, and upped his hands of dap serenity. Big Red did the same. Her basket flew in the air as it grew big. Guns and all came out of the basket as she reached and grabbed a glove off the rack. This glove was black, coated in red. The galaxies could be seen on this glove as it has been used for generations by her ancestors. Big Red said, "Let's go, Heron Goose." As they walked and walked closer, as they dashed and dashed closer, they reached the wrap-up distance, eye to eye, Heron Goose assuming the position of Bully Maguire, and Big Red assuming the position of Piccolo himself. And they dapped. Oh my. In the stands, everyone was blown away. Everyone was stripped naked. Even the mountain goats couldn't bear the pressure. Their horns fractured, their limbs degaulded. Even Tarzan and George in the stands. Their eyes molted and regenerated over and over again as they watched and watched as the domain collapsed, as the world shifted, as even the seas rised and the moon controlled. Everything was being controlled by only these two in the ring. The domain cracked. It shattered. It crumbled as the fighters sat there in the stands, as the dust cleared from the glass of the shattered domain. Heron Goose sat down, his hand officially decimated, nothing left but bones and veins. And Big Red was there, part of her basket destroyed, part of her cloak severely torn. And all she could do was look on as she stumped down to one knee and spoke. You're not half bad yourself, Herring Goose. Maybe we can dap up next time. And next time I'll be way stronger. Herring Goose looked on and said, You were already strong. I had to go all out just to keep up. The fighters stand. They walked. Dapped one time, but this dap never shook the world. It was just an ordinary dap between rivals, ops, and friends. And so, the narrator, George, stepped down and said, It was a draw of the ages. Thank you everyone for coming. We're all alive and well, thankfully. Our next duel, it shall be legendary, but not for today. We'll see you all on the next round. But in the stands, there was one person keeping watch. One person that we all forgot about. It was Big Bad Greg. Grey Wolf, his greasy mullet as he slicked it back. He puffed his black leather jacket and looked on and said, So this is Red Hood. She's big after all, but not big enough when I finally train and catch her. I will make my father proud. I will catch her, turn her into my slave. Get her grandma onto my side. Get that basket, and I will eat them in front of my dad's grave and make them proud. As he turned, walk away, and let the shadows disperse, as he, himself, and I went on into the forest, ready for his next plan. Well, I'm gonna end this story right there. If you like this story so far and like to continue watching the Void Lounge podcast, where I just do pure storytelling and probably gonna add another segment in the future, please like and subscribe if you want part 2 of this Little Red Riding Hood story, but with my little pull-ass twist. But hope you like it. I will see you later. Bye.